Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to MTC Live. I'm Kevin Connors, and we are so excited to have you here today. It's a very exciting week here at MTC because, as you know, throughout the summer, we've been doing a lot of original virtual products for you guys to be able to keep us engaged and remain visible here on the theater scene while we're taking a little pause from live productions right now. And we have a very exciting one coming up. It's sort of the finale to our summer series, and it's coming up this Saturday night at 8 o'clock. It is an original interactive musical thriller, which I am happy to say I co-wrote with my longtime writing partner, Joe Landry. And we have Joe coming in right now to chat with us, and we're going to have a little chat and tell you a little bit about the show. Come on in, Joe.
Hello.
How are you?
Good to see you. Very good. Very good, thanks.
Good to see you too. It's good to see you too. Yeah. So we're going to talk about the big do that we have coming up this weekend, which is a really exciting thing. You and I have had a real gas writing this. It's been really, really great. It's called Stage Fright. So why don't you tell us just a little bit about Stage Fright, and then we're going to talk about you a little bit.
Oh, okay, well, sure. Well, Stage Fright is kind of a backstage story about a Tony-winning Broadway actress who has an unfortunate freak accident happen to her during a performance, and then she's held up recuperating at her Connecticut home. And the other three characters are her longtime assistant, and her best friend, who's like a Broadway columnist who has a TV show called Broadway Buzz, and then someone new in her life who is a journalist studying journalism at NYU, who is going to meet her to do his thesis on her. So it's those four characters, and then there's some intrigue that sets in pretty early, and hopefully builds from there. But that's without giving any spoilers away. That's kind of as much as we can say.
Exactly. Right, yeah. As we say, yeah. Mayhem ensues. So
yes.
But anyway, it's really fun, and I think the exciting thing is that it's interactive and it's musical. As you know, we try to do. You know, you and I talked about this early on that we try to use the virtual medium in as creative and different a way as we possibly can, and I certainly think that we've done that with this. So let's talk about that a little bit. How is writing for a digital format, because this is written specifically for a digital format, not a stage play that is just being done as a reading in Zoom. How's writing for a digital format different than writing for the stage?
Well, I think it gives you a certain amount of freedom as far as using different, more potentially technically based concepts. So you can get a little more into tech and telling the story through, I mean, I know with stage, there's a lot of like projections and video and that sort of thing, but this is a way to use that as more of an integral part of the storytelling, I would say, is one way. And I've always, I mean, maybe we'll talk more about this, but I feel like I've always been drawn to hybrid projects that are not necessarily just one thing or another. Like when I think of a play, I don't think of that it has to be limited some way. I'm always sort of like, oh, you can take the play anywhere. Like that's sort of the fun of it. So I feel like that's one thing that the digital medium definitely offers the opportunity to go to different places that, or go there in different ways than you might be able to in a stage play.
Yeah, well, that was a great segue for me, because I also want to ask you about your past work, which is exactly what you were talking about, a hybrid. You really like to take even sometimes existing stories and tell them in a different way. You and I have worked on a number of projects together, two of which are It's a Wonderful Life, a live radio play, which we're actually doing here this Christmas, and also A Christmas Carol, a live radio play. But you've also, you know, I know that you're really inspired by filmmakers and films from the past, like Frank Capra with Wonderful Life, and also Meet Me in St. Louis. How does that? How were you drawn to that initially?
Well, I grew up with on classic film pretty much. You know, before there was TCM, there was my first job at the library when I was a kid back in the days of like 16 millimeter. So I got a film education based on whatever films would come through the library, and like every month they would change the selection. So it was a very eccentric way to get to know everything from silent films to to like, midnight movies to sort of all over the place. It's like, we'd be watching On the Town in the morning and Pink Flamingos in the afternoon. So it was a very eclectic way to grow up as a child. But I just really fell in love with a lot of the classic films and didn't see them as like old and outdated. I just saw them as, cool ways to tell stories in different periods. And I love the idea of taking a film and using that as the basis of a play. And that's where some of the earlier things that I did, including Wonderful Life and some others, are based on some classic films that I really have an affinity for. And then how that turned into a radio play, though. So It's Wonderful Life, when I first adapted that, it was done as a full stage version with like 30 people in it. And that had a couple of productions, but it was around the time of like Woody Allen's Radio Days, that film, and a few other films that were sort of like, oh, this style of telling story through the radio I find really fascinating. And because of the setting of Wonderful Life and some of these other ones, it fit very well into the time period. So it was sort of, how do you take a show with 30 people and do it with 5? You do it as a radio play. So you do it as a radio play on stage. But what I love about the radio play, and I think that this also applies to Stage Fright in some ways, that it's more engaging as an audience. With the radio plays, I feel like you're seeing what's happening on stage, but you're also painting the picture in your head. So everyone has their own vision of what's going on. It's much like when you read a book, you're sort of picturing what's happening. And it sort of keeps the audience more engaged and gets them to lean forward a little bit, which I think is something that Stage Fright will do also, partially because of the interactive and all that. But.
Right. I think so too. And part of my whole sort of aesthetic as a director too is all about story and character. And as you know, I've directed Wonderful Life probably 6 or 7 times now.
Yes.
But that's one of the things that I love about it. And it never gets old to me because, first of all, it's such a great story. But it never gets old to me because I just think that when you do something in a radio play kind of version, or something like this, Stage Fright, with only 4 characters and in a virtual medium like this, I think you focus more on the stories and characters. And so that draws you in more. I mean, sets are beautiful, and I'm not trying to, disparage that, but I think that people fall in love with stories and characters. So I think it's a very engaging way to do it. So then jumping back over to Stage Fright, we should probably tell everybody that the audience gets to vote during Stage Fright on certain choices that happen during the show that actually determine the direction of the plot. So the plot can go, I know we did this sort of like pyramid math on this of how many ways the story could actually end up, at the end. It was something like 27 or something like that, depending on what the choices are that they made. How did you decide where the choices might go and what kind of choices might be made in it? I mean, I know you're a big Agatha Christie fan, so mysteries are not a strange area for you.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a little bit of a history with interactive, and was working on a project a number of years ago that involved choices the audience made all the way through. And when we started talking about Stage Fright and talking about the impact of the choices and how the audience will feel like their choice made a bigger change. So this isn't really giving anything away, but part of the plotting of it involved like a chart, which was sort of like, if they make this choice, you go to these 2 options, and then based on those 2 options, you go to other options. So it's a very different type of script if you see it on the page. But I think the choices that the audience make will hopefully influence the story somewhat. And again, without giving things away, but there are some life and death decisions that the audience might make, maybe. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. I mean, it's very much like Create Your Own Adventure, only in a theater, and this particularly in a theater world. Let's talk a little bit about the cast too. The cast, we've been so lucky to get 4 fabulous performers, and I think we actually have a slide. There it is. These wonderful, wonderful performers who are going to be a part of Stage Fright. Kirsty Carnahan, who's done like 4 original casts of Broadway shows. Alex Drost, who appeared in our production of Cabaret here. Cindy Hanna, who was nominated for a Connecticut Critics Circle Award for Big Mama in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. And Zach Shan, who has won a Connecticut Critics Circle Award for his title role in Pippin. So we're very excited to have those four bringing this show to life. I think we've had a really, really great time doing it, and I think they have too. So I really appreciate your coming in, Joe. Thanks so much. You and I are both looking forward to this weekend, and we're in the middle of sort of like the virtual form of tech rehearsals right now, working with the editors and that kind of thing to pull everything together. But we're really excited, and we hope everybody comes out to see it. So thanks so much, and I will see you in not very long a time to a little screening work. So
thanks so much. It's been great to be involved in another MTC project for sure.
Good. Thanks so much, Joe. I'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thanks.
So if you haven't already bought your tickets for Stage Fright, we hope that you will do that. Tickets are available on our website, musictheaterofct.com. Everything is virtual, so there is no limit to the number of tickets that you can buy. Once again, the broadcast is this coming Saturday night at 8 p.m. We hope to see you all there. It's so exciting and so much fun. I think you're going to have a blast. And once again, this is raising money for Music Theater of Connecticut and also the Actors Fund. The entire event is sanctioned through Theater Authority. So without any further ado, we're going to close out with another number from Stage Fright, because it is a musical after all. And thank you so much for being here today. And we hope to see you all on Saturday night. Have a good rest of the week, everybody.
Bravely facing the gods. Many days are nirvana for me, but the flip side can be straight uphill and against all the odds. In those moments I take a breath and recall that surviving's the best you can do. Remembering love is on the next train. Love is on the next train. And I know that there's always a next train coming through. I have learned this journey's what you make it. It sounds a bit cliche, but it's true. Just how well you fake it. So accept that there are times when the best thing about today is tomorrow's just a few short hours away. So the moral of my fable is to hold fast when you're able. Remember, darkness will not drown you before dawn. There's a sky of azure blue, and tomorrow there's a new dawn, a hope to hang your heart on, 'cause love is on the next train.